Good afternoon. It's noon here, so good afternoon for me, Eastern Standard, wherever I'm finding you. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Elena Sherwood. I am here for my weekly live relationship Q&A. That is not therapy. It is just some guidance if it'll help. I apologize. I have a candy in my mouth. I don't usually do that. I consider it sometimes rude, but my throat is really, really dry, and I'm going to be coughing up a lung if I don't sort of do that. So welcome. I am in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Who am I? I was a licensed couples therapist for 35 years. I did that for my career. I loved it. I enjoyed it, but I am now a relationship coach. I have since retired my license and I do one-on-one sessions. I do content creating, and I am very serious about my YouTube community. So today I'm going to, if you are here watching this on a replay, give it a little like. Let me know where I'm finding you. Today I'm going to do things a little differently because there's a comment that stuck in my head that someone asked me this week. It's not really a comment, it's a question. And it's actually not the first time it's come up when somebody asked me, is it normal for couples when they've been together a long time to just drift apart and sort of become highly critical of each other over the years, over the decades? And so my response is, it is normal to have stressful times. It is normal to become defensive. It is normal to highly react. It is normal to underreact. It is normal for there to be arguments, not physical, never normal, for there to be some kind of clashing, some kind of friction, disagreement, value sorting out what is important to who. But there's a very big difference between drifting apart and staying apart. That's what we want to avoid. You will have many moments where you kind of are drawn to different sides, but it's not the being apart. The becoming apart is normal, but it is not healthy. And how couples end up getting stuck in the other place where suddenly they're decades married and they don't like each other anymore. And all they're doing is criticizing and measuring and insulting each other because they've stayed apart. So you're saying, okay, be a little bit clearer. What do I mean by, how do you stay apart? Because, you're disagreeing, and the stay apart is all about caring. Both of you caring that I don't like that we're on two different sides here. I don't like that we have this big distance. And maybe it's only one of you who says it, but the other one has to recognize, and both of you must desire for this distance to disappear. Both of you must want to repair and get close again. Now, to be fair, some people are more communicative, are better with words. They can name emotions, they can name dynamics, they can analyze all kinds of stuff. Granted, but it's one thing to be able to voice, but voice is not the only way that couples repair. And many people will argue with me on this, and I will stand by this. Because relationships are not only, good, healthy relationships aren't only meant for the good talkers. They're meant for the people who really do care and they do what they can their way. And that the other, hopefully, has the wherewithal to receive it in the manner it is being given. Huge. And so the drifting, I believe, is people will disagree with me, and that's okay. You're more than welcome to. That people will, drifting apart, I believe, is a conscious decision. You might think, no, we drifted apart. I didn't mean for it to happen. But if you are actively choosing to not do anything, that inaction is a form of action. Now, maybe you're saying, but I've tried, we've tried. Okay. So try something different. So try again. So if you are watching and you're thinking, well, we just know that's just the normal thing that happens, right? We just drifted. Along the way, there are always little opportunities for repair. And the important thing is that you do try. And that, yes, you could talk about it. If you are people who can talk about it, that's wonderful. But not everybody is. You described your boundary declaration that changed your relationship. I don't know if we're too broken, but need verbiage to clearly describe, I care, but I'm done after years of silence. 25 years okay. It's a great comment, and I'm glad you're saying this. Not everybody has the verbiage, as you said. Not everybody can name it. I couldn't even name it, and I'm pretty good at words. But sometimes we got to get past the words and we got to look at the actions. And today I told the story of a woman who came to me. She had thankfully survived cancer. And she came to me and she says, okay, I made this appointment because I want to finally deal with my marriage. And I think my husband is this and he is that, and it's all of this, and I'm terribly unhappy. And okay, I said, okay, all right, let's have a look. And we talked about a few things, and then I never saw her again. And it turns out I saw her at one of these, I was in a vigil, one of these walk all night kind of things to raise money, raise awareness. And I saw her. And I had a moment where it was just the two of us. And I said, hi. She says, I got to tell you. She looks down. And she says, you notice I'm in a wheelchair. Yeah, she said, my cancer has come back. I said, oh no. And she says, guess what? My husband has stepped up. And he carries me everywhere, and he listens, and he takes me to every single appointment, and he sees to my comfort, and he does every dang thing I need. And I said, oh, so all those things I talked about, those were all the words, the things that I expected. But nothing nothing really, it came together when I saw him in action. The man is determined that I'm going to outlive him. Isn't that the cutest, sweetest thing ever? And so that got me thinking, because sometimes we get so caught up in all of the other things that we think should be happening that we lose track and we lose sight and we lose focus of the other things that are happening. There's another side. And with respect to the comment that I just saw here, and it's yes. If you have had so much hurt between the two of you, or from your perspective, and you've had years and years of feeling invisible, and feeling pushed aside, and feeling this cold distance, and maybe you start to see a little bit of change. It's okay for you to say, wait a minute. I'm just allowing myself to feel the things I'm feeling now, and all I'm feeling is resentment and anger. And this has now become too big. I can no longer care about what effort is being done now. And that's okay. That's okay too. There is no hard and fast rule of how these things played out. What I love, though, is I invite everybody to be as honest with yourself as you can be. Because sometimes we're running and looking for reasons to avoid possibly being hurt. And maybe sometimes we've never known real intimacy and we don't want to lose it. And we don't recognize it when it's near us and with us, and it feels really strange. But also sometimes our hearts have just had too much. And there's doesn't seem to be a path in between. And what breaks my heart is two people living together where all they're doing is judging each other for how they are not meeting, how one's needs is not being met. And that to me sounds like a cruel way to live. Cruel for yourself. So I hope I've kind of tackled a couple of topics there, and I did make some notes on it, but once I get talking, I start to go, all right, let me just see if there's anything else I want to mention on that. But if you have any questions, feel free to pop in. All right, so things that are normal that will come up. Sometimes you will feel small because that happens, even if you don't mean for it. You can say something that might make your partner feel smaller, even if you didn't intend for it to do. Hello, I'm glad you're here. And sometimes there will be small, so there will be people ignoring, there will be defensiveness, there will be less effort, all of that. But what you want to do is that you want to avoid all of that becoming your new normal. All right, here's a comment or a question. Let me just see. Married 30 years. My husband said he feels like roommates. I do not know how to help him not feel like that. He has told me so many times that I am the problem, not him. I'm not surprised that is the perspective there, because let's face it, wouldn't we all end up saying, actually, the problem is you? And I'm not saying that he's right or he's wrong, but what I am saying is it does take two to fix. Did you explore what he meant about you being the problem? And maybe this is something you can't do together easily. Or I guess my first question would be, when people say we feel like roommates, usually that's code for we are not active in the bedroom anymore. Or it might be code for, we don't physically touch each other anymore. We're not drawn to, we don't cuddle, we don't hold hands, we don't hug meaningfully, we no longer see comfort in each other. Like, this could mean many different things. And so I invite people to, when your husband, partner, wife, girlfriend is saying something like we feel like roommates, ask more questions. See if you can nail down what it is. Some advice I gave it 3 times actually last week to some couples. I said, when there's a hug coming, you drop everything. You're stirring the soup, turn off the soup if you gotta. You make room for physical contact. If somebody's coming at you with a hug and it's your significant other, you'll both hopefully be respectful, but you make physical touch, physical closeness a priority. You'd be surprised at how far that can go. And maybe when people say, the other thing that tweaks in my mind when I see the word roommate is that something like there is no deep feelings for each other in any way. Sometimes that's become where it is, but that doesn't always mean that is how it is destined to stay. So my usual advice is find what you can control and do something about that if you want this relationship to work. Marriages, relationships, all of these, I know these are really, really complicated. They don't have to be. It can be as simple as people who really want to be together and are finding the healthiest ways for both of you to do that, and to eradicating and getting rid of the things that get in the way. We're not talking enough. Let's talk more. We don't touch enough. Let's touch more. You feel cold. Okay, what do we need to warm it up? What do we need for things to kind of soften between the two of you, and so you can find your way back? And if there's a part of your one or both of you is saying, yeah, no, I don't think so. If all you feel now is your body shutting down and you have this big thing like absolutely not, then that's important. I wouldn't ignore that. What I wouldn't want anybody ignoring, though, is that there is a big problem that's not being dealt with. I hope that helps. If you have any comments or any other questions, feel free to post them. Let me make sure that I made all the, hit all the points I meant to. Okay. You're welcome. You are most welcome. Oh, here we go. This is one of the lines I wrote earlier. Distance between two people, it isn't the issue. Unaddressed distance is. Because what happens when it's unaddressed? It is given all the room to grow like a very bad weed. Easiest thing. Actually, I don't talk about this enough, but there was a time that all I saw between the couples I was working with, a lifelong thing, I actually wrote a book called Your Emotional Armor. How to drop it to have a healthy relationship. Why? Because that's what we do. We armor up. Everybody does it. Everybody. No matter how you are, how long you've been together, no matter how well connected you are, everybody has this need to keep ourselves protected. We all do it, so we must check ourselves for the times that we put our barriers up. Another comment here. My husband shut down so many conversations with me, I guess. Oh no, with I don't want to argue. I have struggled to find soft starts, better timing, etc. Well done, well done. He avoids conflict, and when I end up persisting, it becomes a fight. Whew, okay. And there's another comment after that is staying for now. How do I protect my peace? Okay, I will come back to that. So with the no matter how I try, sometimes, sorry, crunching on a candy. I hope that's not too loud on the mic. Sometimes we have to accept that we can only carry our side of the relationships. And if you are at a place where you're trying to deal with things, and I'm sure you've deemed these important, and you got somebody who was very avoidant, I'm really careful about buzzwords, but if you are with someone who tends to avoid things like conflict, your relationship, I'm afraid, seems to be anyway in big trouble. Because what do we have in life? Issues, problems, conflict, difficult situations, trials and tribulations. That is life. And if you have someone who says, I don't really do conflict, that is that person's issue to sort out. There's only so much you can do. You can say, I'm not trying to argue. I just want you to hear me. I have lists of things to say. I have, the 7 things I do to avoid whatever. I have all of that. But sometimes the comments I get actually it's very fortuitous that this is the comment that you've given me, because I actually posted that on Facebook. It had a lot of things, 7 things I say to be heard in my relationship. And no kidding, it broke my heart that all the comments were, that would only work if he cared. The other one is, yeah, that would start an even bigger fight. Another one saying, those are aggressive, those should never be said to anyone. And it's even things like, this is what I want for you to hear from me. All of that. So it was a lot of and first I thought, this is a lot of negativity. And then I realized that the people who found this video, these are some of the people who already know that something is off, but they are not in a place that they believe they feel safe enough to do anything differently from the situation they're in. And so if that's where you are, that sort of leads me to the other comment here of somebody saying, I'm staying for now. How do I protect my peace? The most important thing you could do for yourself is to always give yourself some room, some mental space to sort out your own thoughts. Maybe that's chatting with a best friend or a family member you care about, who you know cares about you. Maybe it's daily, hourly journaling until you get it sorted. Maybe it's whatever it is, but make room to hear your own thoughts. I talk about that a lot in my YouTube community posts about carving out time for your nervous system so you can hear yourself think. Sometimes what we need to do is to actually slow life down long enough so it is our voice we hear and not everybody else's. And so that's one way of protecting your peace. The other advice I would give is speak as honestly as you can. If something is bothering you, you don't think it'll be received well, do it anyway. Do it in the kindest voice you can think of, but if you can't, that's okay too. But be okay with saying something that is true for you, because your truth matters. If you are doing things like that, you are respecting yourself. And self-respect is a huge part of finding peace. Self-valuing also, as in valuing yourself enough to give your body, your mind, your heart what it needs. Sometimes that's just the mental space. The other tip I would have there is you don't have to agree to anything you don't really want to agree to. And what I'm saying is find the little places where you stand your ground. And it's not about, I do not want tacos tonight. No, it's not about that. But it could just be a gentle, I'm not sure I feel that. Oh, well, you whatever. Authenticity to self is the point that I'm trying to kind of steer you towards. I hope this helps. Stonewalled and guarded. Stonewalled and guarding. Your book is perfect timing to help us. Please discuss your book. Thanks. Oh, how cute is that little photo of me, by the way? That's a professional photo I had done. Okay. If you know heartache, heartbreak, and the paralyzing fear of losing someone special, this book is for you. When you love deeply, you learn the one-of-a-kind brand of loneliness love brings, because it does. When we have these walls, it's lonely behind all the walls. So if you're done with fiery conversations or cold ones, let's get right to the heart of the matter on why those happen, and more importantly, what you can do about it today. It is available on Amazon, and it's like a tiny, it's not even the width of my little eyeball. This is my second one. I make a point to make them short. My first one, this is an autobiography, something I felt like I needed to write. And I did that. But anyway, this is the relationship book that I wrote. This is the career book that I wrote based on what I've learned from my own marriage and from my own 33 years in May marriage and the 35 years of being a couples therapist. I kept it short. It has little diagrams that should help. I made it as graphic as I can without it being like graphic as in I have a few graphics to help you. It is full of tools. Now, if you're thinking, if I buy that book and I read it, it better change my life. It won't. It is only of use to people who are eager to try something a little bit different and invest the time and energy into it. So it won't solve everything, but it'll give you some understanding, I hope. And hopefully it's one more tool that you will have. All right. And yes, I agree. Authenticity matters. Part of the challenge of staying is doing so without self-betrayal. Love this comment. We'll work on speaking even when the voice in my head says, don't bother. I love this, especially that you named that voice that says, don't bother. Don't bother is a symptom or a sign of powerlessness, helplessness. Don't bother doing anything different. It won't change anything. Don't bother. He won't hear you anyway. Don't bother. You will waste. When you think about if when we start focusing on that, we are setting ourselves up for a doomsday kind of feel. How about instead of don't bother, we go with, let me try this one. Let me try again. Let me try this a little differently. One of the things I've learned to do this. It might not work for all relationships, but I've learned to do this because when I'm really, really full, I literally say, I have a lot to say. None of it is going to make sense, but I need to just blurt it out. Are you ready? And my husband, who is not a very wordy person, has learned that when I do that, I've since augmented it with, this is not about you fixing anything. I need you to hear me. Give me 10 minutes. Well, to him, I could do 10 minutes. I could listen. I don't want advice. I just need your ears. I need someone to really care about what's happening for me right now. 10 minutes. Clear for him. He could do that. Now, that might not work for everybody. And if it does, if you're thinking, oh, that won't work for me, there's nothing special about that man. Obviously, there's something very, very special about him. But he's not particularly gifted in any kind of thing. But I'll tell you what's really clear is how much he really does want for us to work crap out. And there are many conversations or things that come my way that because I want this to work. I said, okay. Here we go. And maybe in my own mind, I think, okay, I can give him 10 minutes. I don't really care about this thing that goes this way and that way, but I care enough about him. So, all right. I don't know if I went off on a tangent or not. That's the thing. There's so many little fingers and arms and flowcharty kind of things that happen when it comes to relationships. And actually, whenever I'm in a session and people are saying things to me, in my head, I'm already like, it's functioning like a flowchart. Should I ask this? Should I ask that? Should I ask that? Should I ask that? And anyway, hey, so anyway, let me know if you have any questions. If you are, again, watching this on a replay, feel free to leave a comment. I do check all comments. And all right, I think I have said everything I needed to say. But I do peruse it for what people think of this and what people have to say. And I welcome input on some content you would like me to create around. If there is something burning and if it's something I can answer on the spot real quick, I sure do my absolute best. May I thank you from my heart for spending some valuable time with me and for showing me and for sharing your vulnerable questions. I am always honored when people do that. I take it very, very seriously, and I do my dang best to serve you in the best way I know how. And so until next time, I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, Thursdays, noon Eastern, live here on YouTube. Thank you again.